Hi, and welcome to Rowing on the Square. Today we're talking about rehab to row. So, the journey from being injured to getting back into the boat. And we know that it's really important to take that time. If you've gotten injured and you need the time off from rowing, you're going to go ahead and you're going to take that time and you're going to wait for the time where you're feeling that you're getting stronger. A lot of times, when you have a musculoskeletal or like a muscle or bone issue, you'll go and see a physical therapist. And most physical therapists do a really, really great job with just getting you back to functioning. And that's really the goal of physical therapy, is to make sure that you're able to do some of the basic functions that are part of your activities of daily living. So the go-tos would be walking, climbing stairs, being able to sit to stand, and being able to lie down on a bed and sit up on a bed, and doing all of those activities without pain. It would also include like being able to make it through your workday without pain. When we get into the realm of getting through a rowing practice without pain, I find that a lot of times physical therapy that you get your 6 to 8 week, 2 to 3 times a week, is not necessarily going to get you back to rowing. And there's this gap. There's rehab, and then there's rowing, and then there's this space in between. And that space in between is very important. You need to make sure that you're metering your increase in your rowing at little incy-wincy increments. Depending upon what type of injury you have, especially any type of injury, whether it be a back, a hip, a shoulder, wrist, a knee, an ankle, there's going to be some type of adaptation time that you'll need to practice the rowing stroke and making sure that you're refining how your stroke is put together. Some of the things that you'll want to think about or are positioning when you take a look at how you set up your rowing stroke. How are you holding your hands? Are your wrists flat? Are you making a nice tight grip with your handle and making sure that those knuckles are flush and forward? Thumbs are wrapped underneath that handle. I'm talking about sitting on the erg. Foot position. Do you need a lower foot position? Is hip range of motion an issue? Do you need to worry about knee range of motion? Do you have full knee range of motion? Are you using the rowing motion in order to milk that knee range of motion and get back into a functional position? We want to see that the heels are low. They don't necessarily need to be on the foot plate, but a half an inch to an inch of heel rise is tolerated as long as that shin is perpendicular to the ground when you're or the water as you're going up to that catch. Can you keep the low back in a neutral position and have the pelvis tipped forward or in an anterior tilt? So pelvis on hip, are you able to be in that position and have enough thoracic extension to sit up tall and to work through that full stroke? As you start working through your stroke, I always recommend small increments with rest in between, trying 2 to 3 minutes, trying 5 minutes with a rest and 5 minutes with a rest, building up to that 30 minutes of continuous rowing. We talk about the fact that, okay, if you do that body check, how do I feel today? Am I ready to row? Does my injury bother me right now? If the injury is not bothering me, I get on the erg, I do 5 minutes. How does the injury feel? I get off the erg for 1 minute, I stretch, I get back on the erg for 5 minutes, and you're going back and toggling back and forth through that for 6 repetitions until you get to that 30 minutes. Then we can start chunking the 5 minute times together and then chunking 15, 15, and then chunking up to 30 full minutes. But you can't go from no rowing to a lot of rowing very quickly, and you're going to aggravate your injury and you're going to irritate and make it so that you are taking steps back rather than taking steps forward. Key drills that I could think of that are really great for retraining for really any injury would be your pause drills, because you want to take the time to check your positioning. You want to make sure that you're getting in a strong position, whether you're videotaping your rowing or you're using a mirror, and just slowly stepping through that rowing motion. You're going to have to build up tolerance. There's going to be a level of fatigue because you haven't been rowing and you haven't exposed your body to these motions that you're going to have. A lot of times I talk to my athletes about pain versus pain. Pain which is like a soreness. It means I used my body. I'm noticing the spot that I had the injury. That type of feeling, that's not necessarily a red flag. I mean, it's kind of a yellow flag, but not a red flag. Our red flag items would be like for my younger athletes, I say, you know how it feels when you step on a Lego? If your injury feels like that after you've done your rowing, that's pain. That's a stop. That's a stop sign. Now we need to check in with ourselves on a daily basis because there's going to be days that you're going to feel great. You do your rowing, you feel fine. You do your next day, you do your rowing, you feel fine. You do the third day, and then on that fourth day, your body's like, whoa, 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 that's too much. So then you know that you can do 2 to 3 days in a row before you need to put that rest day in there. A lot of times I find that athletes get hung up just kind of keeping themselves restricted a little bit. Like they'll do the 2 days, take 2 or 3 days off, 2 days, take 2 or 3 days off, 2 days, take 2 or 3 days off. So there's a consistency problem. So if you're attempting a return to row, you have to be very honest with yourself. Is this a day that I can do my work? If I can get through my work today, I'm not getting to the Lego level of pain, then I need to be doing my work the next day and really building up. We know that if you're participating in rowing, especially at the junior collegiate level and some of the high level masters team, you're going to have daily exposure to rowing. So you need to be able to get to the point where you can string 5 days in a row of rowing together without that pain happening. And if you don't work consistently at increasing how much rowing you're going to do, you'll be stuck in this 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 3 days off mode, and you'll never progress forward. A lot of times, it does take some time and it does take some easiness or some help from your coach as far as understanding and communicating how you're feeling when you're out there in practice. If you're just grinning and bearing it and getting through practice, but you're feeling terrible when you get home, you need to be communicating that with your coach. You can't keep them in the dark about how much you can do and can't do. And coaches are really receptive to the idea of really being informed and being a part of the solution and helping you getting back to your rowing. They want you to row. Numbers always help. It's always good to have a solid team of healthy rowers. So they want to see you get back. But at times, it can be really difficult to bring people back if they're on that 2 days on, 1 day off roller coaster. I hope this was really helpful. And if you have any questions or you're attempting to do your return to row and you need more help, feel free to reach out. You can click the link below for a strategy call and we can chat about what's going on with you and see if I can help you get back into your rowing. Happy rowing, everybody.